What do you do when you did everything right and still ended up in the worst place of your life? You trusted someone, and they betrayed you. You prayed, and heaven felt silent. Today I want to tell you the story of a young man who lived every one of those moments. His name was Joseph, the 11th son of Jacob, one of the patriarchs of Israel. Joseph was deeply loved by his father. Jacob gave him a coat of many colors, a symbol of special favor, and that gift changed everything. Then Joseph had dreams, not ordinary dreams, God-given visions showing him ruling over his entire family one day. He told his brothers, and they hated him even more. Here's the first lesson. Not everyone is called to carry your vision. God-given dreams will not always be celebrated by the people closest to you. Joseph's brothers watched as their father showed him favor again and again. Jealousy grew into bitterness, and bitterness into hatred. They could not speak peacefully to him. They could not even look at him without resentment filling their hearts. One day Jacob sent Joseph on a simple mission. Go check on your brothers in the fields and bring me a report. Joseph obeyed without question. He had no idea he was walking directly into the worst day of his life. Sometimes obedience to God puts you in places that look like traps. When his brothers saw him coming in that colorful coat, hatred took over completely. They stripped Joseph of his coat. They threw him into an empty pit. And then, this is the part that breaks your heart, they sat down and had a meal. Then a caravan of traders passed by heading to Egypt, and the brothers made a decision that would change history. They sold their own brother, 20 pieces of silver. That was the price they put on Joseph's life. But what the brothers intended as a final end was actually the beginning of God's greatest plan. The brothers dipped Joseph's coat in goat's blood and brought it to their father. Jacob recognized it immediately. He believed his beloved son had been killed by a wild animal, and he mourned for days. Sin always costs more than we expect, not just the one who suffers, but everyone around them. Joseph arrived in Egypt as a slave, a foreign prisoner in the most powerful nation on earth. He had every reason to give up, every reason to become bitter, every reason to stop believing. But instead, Joseph worked with integrity, with faithfulness, with excellence. And God noticed. Joseph was purchased by Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh. And even in slavery, Joseph gave his absolute best. God blessed everything Joseph put his hand to. Potiphar noticed, and he promoted Joseph until he was managing his entire household. But then Potiphar's wife tried to tempt Joseph, and he refused. He honored God over his own comfort, so she lied. She falsely accused him of a crime he never committed, and Joseph was thrown into prison. He did everything right and still ended up in chains. Joseph was in prison, but God was in the prison too. The Lord showed Joseph mercy, gave him favor with the prison keeper, and positioned him to lead, even among prisoners. While in prison, two of Pharaoh's officials, the cupbearer and the baker, had troubling dreams. Joseph interpreted both dreams accurately. The cupbearer would be restored. The baker would be executed. Both came true exactly as Joseph said. Joseph asked the cupbearer to remember him and speak to Pharaoh on his behalf when he got out. The man was restored exactly as Joseph said, and he forgot about Joseph completely for 2 full years. 2 years. But here is what those 2 years did not do. They did not stop God's plan. Maybe you are in your 2-year silence right now. You prayed, you believed, you held on, and still nothing seems to be moving. Psalm 27:14 says, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart." Waiting is not wasted time in God's economy. 2 years after the cupbearer forgot him, Pharaoh had two disturbing dreams. None of his wise men could interpret them. And suddenly, the cupbearer remembered Joseph. God's timing is not a mistake. The same delay that felt like abandonment was actually divine positioning. Joseph was rushed out of prison, cleaned up, presented before the most powerful man in the world, and when Pharaoh asked if he could interpret dreams, Joseph said something extraordinary. "It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace." In the most important moment of his life, Joseph gave God the glory first. Joseph interpreted both of Pharaoh's dreams. 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of devastating famine. Pharaoh was so overwhelmed that he appointed Joseph, an enslaved foreign prisoner, as second in command over all of Egypt, the second most powerful position on earth. In one conversation, after 13 years of suffering, the 7 years of abundance came and went. Joseph stored grain faithfully across all of Egypt. Then the famine struck, just as God had shown him, and people came from every nation to Egypt for food. God prepared Joseph not just to survive, but to become the source of survival for an entire world. Then Joseph's brothers came. They bowed before the governor of Egypt, not knowing it was their brother. Joseph recognized them immediately, but he did not reveal himself right away. He tested their hearts. God does not just restore you to where you were, He restores you with wisdom, with maturity, with a testimony. After testing his brothers and seeing their changed hearts, Joseph could hold it in no longer. He cleared the room of all Egyptians and wept so loudly that the entire palace heard it. Then he said, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt." His brothers were terrified. They expected punishment. They expected revenge. Instead, Joseph said words that echoed through all of history. "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Forgiveness was not Joseph denying his pain. It was Joseph trusting God with his pain. 3 lessons from Joseph for wherever you are right now. First, your God-given dream is worth protecting. Not everyone will celebrate it. Guard it and keep going. Second, your character in hard seasons is being built for your great moment. The pit and the prison develop what the palace cannot teach. Third, forgiveness is not for them. It is for you. Releasing bitterness is how you receive your freedom. If you are in a pit today, hold on. If you are in a prison today, hold on. If you are in a waiting season today, hold on. God has not forgotten your name. He has not abandoned your story, and He has not run out of ways to turn your pain into your purpose. If this touched your heart, share it with someone who needs it today.